Hi, this is Sandy with SDS Digital and the Accord Sequarallel. Today in this Tips and Tricks video number 7, I'll show you how to assign 2 or more MIDI controller CCs to output to one of the CC jacks. Because the MIDI CC number of the jack can be changed via remote control, using PLFX from the playlist to switch that CC number is perfectly doable. This requires version 1.8 for this specific function. I found a bug with it, fixed it, then got all inspired to add it into this tips and tricks video. So in CV mode, we need to set up CC1 jack to output the MIDI CC voltage. This will be from controller 11, the first slider. If you want positive and negative voltage over the range, then leave bipolar set to yes. You can see the LED only registers positive voltages, which begin around the center of the MIDI CC range. MIDI CC smoothing is also on. This is a variable time-based smoothing of the CV to remove steppiness caused by the low 0 to 127 range of the single MIDI CC numbers. So switching bipolar off, the LED will now indicate the range is all on the positive side. As I want minus voltages to control a VCO PWM, I'll turn the bipolar back on. Let's hit play to check it out. I'll mute the MIDI so we can hear just the VCOs. That works. So the primary purpose of this video is to show how the actual MIDI CC number can be switched using a pair of PLFX in the playlist. You may have already noticed there's a key change in the sequence. This is due to there being 2 blocks in the playlist, the second with a +6 transposition. I'll attach a PLFX to the first block and assign our CC number 11. It's important to select the actual CC number, not the whole function, or we would only be setting which function the jack has. There, you can see the parameter name in the PLFX list. To the second block, we'll add PLFX number 2. The CC number this will set is CC12, which is the next slider on the controller. Again, select the CC number, not the whole function, before hitting the S button. So when playing the first block, PLFX will set the CC number to 11. When playing the second block, PLFX 2 will set it to 12. I'll give it a try. Why do this, you may ask? Because each slider mechanically remembers the setting for the block and can act as a reference. If adjusted while on the other block, there will be no change to the CV. Another reason might be to pre-position the control for an adjustment that should only be going downward or upward, like a slow rise or fall of a cut filter, so you can prepare in advance. As using a MIDI CC to output voltages does not remove it from the MIDI chain to the MIDI output, strategically setting your selection of the CC number could control 2 like effects. For example, CC11 is also a level control on MIDI channel 1. I'll switch the gate CV row 1 to the other track sequence, which is playing on channel 1. You can hear both MIDI on this channel and the VCO levels decreasing together. This could be useful, again, with a cut filter or CV-controlled reverb or delay, which are also MIDI implemented in most synths. Our CC number switch is still active. If you don't want the MIDI from the CC to get through to the synth, simply block your controller's channel from MIDI output with the channel's mask. This will of course block any sequence playing on that channel as well. So there's something that might be helpful, as odd as it is. The second half of this tips and tricks is a fun way to use the TRAX Micro-Arp under external CV control. The Micro-Arp beyond the starting step can be accessed with chop, aka ratchet, or echo. In TRAX Tracker 1 there's a simple 16-step sequence, but each note in each step has a NoteFX applied. At this point the NoteFX is doing nothing at all. Triple-clicking any note will get you into the note settings and access to the NoteFX. So setting up the chop to 2, Micro-Arp 1 and 2 will now be played. Now instead of 16 notes per loop, there's 32, even though they're just paired notes. Now let's go into the MIDI push and set the function for CV input jack CC5. Selecting Learn, then clicking on the entry below it will point us to the main screen so a parameter can be selected. This parameter will be modified by any CV voltage coming into the CC5 jack. This CV input will modify the second step in the Micro-Arp. Because it has a plus and minus value, 0 volts will just set it at 0 offset. Make sure to select the Micro-Arp offset, not the start step, as that would just move the start point around. I'm patching a running envelope into the CC5 jack so we'll hear a change. At this point, scale can be used to align random notes, or the CV could be more intentionally set with a sequencer. As the original sequence key is D, I'm transposing up 2 semitones to align the scale results from the stock minor 7. Because the Learn method took us back to the MIDI push settings, the Micro-Arp start was left at step 2. We need to go back into the NoteFX to set the Micro-Arp start step back to step 1, as it is starting on the step that the CV is controlling. To make it interesting, let's add a second CV input to control another step in the Micro-Arp. This will control the next step, step 3. Hit the S button to learn it in. Again, we'll have to return to set the Micro-Arp start step back to 1. But we need to come back here anyway to change the chop multiple to 3. Here goes. I'll patch CC6 input to a different envelope on CC2 jack. The cool thing about using envelope waveforms from the Sequarallel to drive CV inputs is they will always act the same way. This might be the goal, but if not, other sources can change the offsets on demand. I'll switch them over to the dual LFO to prove the point. This random smattering of notes could be just to add some sparkle to a larger sequence, and even in TRAX, the CV inputs will only change notes that are being chopped by NoteFX. There could be a second NoteFX that also chops, but has no Micro-Arp mods, just to keep the cadence. Echo can also be used with this. 3 steps will play Micro-Arp 1 to Micro-Arp 4. So original notes versus offset notes is really 50-50. That sounds nice with the MIDI and VCOs, hey? Of course, any change in the scale or transpose will have a delayed switch because of the long echo delay, and those notes have already been started. But that's kind of cool too, eh? Adding a curve to echo might be interesting. The VCOs still handle the overlapping notes and such, even though they're not poly in any way. Oh, and here's the envelopes we've been using. So I hope this video gave you some ideas or cleared up any confusion about the Micro-Arp, or helped in some way. I'm Sandy Sims. Thanks for watching, and keep on patching!